The blood was still warm on Dr. Maya Reeves's hands when hospital security escorted her past the crowded emergency room. Patients stared. Nurses whispered. The man she just saved, a stranger with no name, no insurance, no powerful friends, was still fighting for his life 3 floors above her. And the teenage daughter of the most powerful senator in Massachusetts, she was texting her friends about the crazy doctor who made her wait. Maya didn't cry, not when they took her badge, not when Administrator Victor Ashford smiled that cold, political smile. She saved the right patient. She knew it in her bones. But knowing you're right doesn't pay the bills when you're blacklisted. Boston, Massachusetts, February 14th, 2024, the night everything changed. Before we begin, if you appreciate stories about people who stand up for what's right, no matter the cost, please hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the very end. And drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, let's go back to where it all started. The pneumatic doors of Harbor Heights Medical Center's emergency bay hissed open for the 100th time that night. But this time, the cold wasn't just wind. It carried violence with it. Trauma alert, 2 minutes out. The dispatcher's voice crackled through the overhead speakers. Doctor, Maya Reeves looked up from the laceration she was suturing on a construction worker's forearm. Her dark eyes, the kind that had seen too much death and refused to get used to it, flickered to the trauma board. Every bay was full. The winter storm had turned Boston's streets into a demolition derby. Details? Maya called out, her hands never stopping their precise work. Charge nurse Tom Brighton, a 20-year veteran with a gray beard and perpetually coffee-stained scrubs, grabbed the red phone. He listened, and his weathered face went pale. 2 critical incoming, Tom said, hanging up. First unit, ETA 90 seconds. Female, 16, rollover MVA, Senator Whitmore's daughter. Stable vitals but possible internal bleeding. Maya tied off the last suture. And the second? Tom's voice dropped. Male, approximately 40, found in explosion debris near the shipping docks. Massive trauma, no ID, paramedics coded him twice. ETA on the second? 3 minutes behind the first. Maya's stomach tightened. She looked around the ER. Dr. Marcus Webb was elbow deep in a gunshot wound. Dr. Patel was intubating an overdose. She was the only attending available. The doors burst open. Paramedics wheeled in the first gurney at a full sprint. Emily Whitmore, 16, the lead paramedic shouted. Found trapped in her BMW. Airbag deployed. GCS 14. BP 110/70. Possible splenic injury. Behind them, a man in an expensive suit pushed through. Senator Richard Whitmore's chief of staff, already on his phone. Tell the governor we need the best surgeon now. The senator is en route. Maya moved to the gurney. The girl, blonde, designer clothes torn and bloodied, was conscious but dazed. Emily, I'm Dr. Reeves. Can you tell me where it hurts? My side, Emily whispered. In my head. Is my dad here? He's going to kill me. I wasn't supposed to be out. Maya pressed gently on the girl's abdomen. Soft, no obvious rigidity. We're going to take care of you. The chief of staff stepped directly into Maya's space. Dr. Reeves, the senator expects his daughter to receive immediate priority care. We're calling in Dr. Gerald Chen. Dr. Chen was the chief of surgery, Maya's mentor, and he was in surgery on another patient. I'll assess and stabilize, Maya said firmly. If she needs surgery, Dr. Chen will. The doors exploded open again. This time the paramedics weren't running. They were fighting to keep their patient alive on the move. No pulse! Starting compressions! Maya spun around. The second gurney came through like a hurricane of organized chaos. The man on it was unrecognizable, face swollen, covered in burns and lacerations, clothes shredded. But it was his chest that made Maya's breath catch. The paramedic doing compressions was putting his full weight into it, and she could see the man's ribs flexing wrong. Flail chest, tension pneumothorax, maybe worse. Trauma 1, Maya shouted, making the split-second decision. Now! Dr. Reeves, the chief of staff's voice was ice. Senator Whitmore's daughter has stable vitals and is conscious. Maya cut him off. This man is dying on my floor. Trauma 1, move. Tom's eyes widened, but he didn't hesitate. You heard her. Bay 1. The team mobilized. Maya ran alongside the gurney, her hands already assessing. She felt for a carotid pulse. Thready, nearly gone. OR status? Maya barked. All full, Tom replied, grabbing equipment. Nearest available was 45 minutes. Then we work here. Get me a chest tube kit, 4 units O-neg, and call anesthesia for a crash airway. They burst into Trauma Bay 1. The monitors screamed to life, or screamed their absence of it. Flatline, no heartbeat. Resume compressions, Maya ordered, grabbing the ultrasound probe. She slid it across the man's chest. What she saw made her curse under her breath. Massive hemothorax, blood filling his chest cavity, collapsing the lung, crushing his heart. I need to crack his chest. The trauma bay went silent for half a second. Tom recovered first. Maya, you can't. Not without a CT. Not without... He'll be dead before the CT finishes its warm-up cycle, Maya said, her voice absolutely steady. She'd made her choice. This man has maybe 3 minutes, probably less. She looked at the team, Tom, 2 nurses she'd worked with for years, a resident fresh out of medical school who looked like he might vomit. I'm opening his chest. I need you with me. Are you with me? Tom held her gaze, then he nodded. Scalpel. The doors slammed open behind them. What is happening here? Victor Ashford, hospital administrator, stood in the doorway. 55, silver hair perfectly styled even at 2 a.m., suit that cost more than most nurses made in a month. Behind him, Senator Whitmore's chief of staff looked triumphant. Dr. Reeves, Ashford's voice could freeze nitrogen. Senator Whitmore's daughter is in Bay 3 without an attending physician. She's stable and being monitored, Maya said, not looking up from her patient. This man is in cardiac arrest. This man is unidentified, no insurance, likely vagrant. Maya's hands stilled. She turned, and the look in her eyes made even Ashford take half a step back. This man is a human being who will die if I stop. Dr. Chen is being pulled from his current surgery to attend to Miss Whitmore, Ashford said. You will step away from this patient and... No. The word hung in the air like a gunshot. Ashford's face went purple. Excuse me? I said no. Maya turned back to her patient. Tom, betadine, 10-blade. Dr. Reeves, I am ordering you, and I'm refusing. Maya's voice was calm, but her hands were shaking with suppressed rage. You want to fire me? Fine. Do it tomorrow. Tonight, I'm saving this man's life. She made the incision. Blood and air hissed out under pressure. The man's chest heaved. On the monitor, a rhythm appeared. Weak, thready, but there. We have sinus tach, the resident shouted, staring at the monitor like it was performing a miracle. Maya didn't celebrate. She was already working, placing a chest tube, evacuating the blood, re-expanding the lung. Her hands moved with the precision of a concert pianist playing a piece she'd practiced 10,000 times. Hang 2 units, wide open, she ordered, and get me a portable x-ray. I need to see if there's a cardiac injury. Behind her, she heard Ashford speaking in low, furious tones into his phone. She didn't care. The monitors were beeping steadily now. The man's oxygen saturation was climbing. 78%, 82%, 85%. Pressure's coming up, Tom said quietly. 90/60. Maya allowed herself one breath of relief. Then she noticed something. As she adjusted the man's head to check his airway, his collar shifted. There, just below his ear, barely visible under the blood and soot, was a tattoo, a trident, wings, military precision in the inkwork, SEAL team insignia. "Tom," Maya whispered, "this isn't a vagrant." Before Tom could respond, the trauma bay doors opened again. This time it was Dr. Gerald Chen, 70 years old, hands that had saved more lives than most people would meet, and eyes that held both wisdom and deep exhaustion. He took in the scene, the open chest, the blood, Maya's defiant stance, Ashford's rage. "Status," Chen said simply. "Hemothorax with tension pneumothorax," Maya reported. "Tube thoracostomy placed. Patient stabilized. Needs CT. Probable exploratory surgery for additional injuries." Chen moved to the bedside. He examined the chest tube placement with practiced efficiency. Then he looked at Maya. "Good work, Dr. Reeves." "Dr. Chen," Ashford sputtered, "this is highly irregular. Senator Whitmore's daughter has a mild concussion and a bruised spleen," Chen said calmly. "I just examined her. She's being admitted for overnight observation. She'll be fine." He turned to Ashford. "This man would have died. Maya made the right call." "That's not her decision to make." Ashford's voice echoed off the tile walls. "We have protocols. We have priorities. We have donors who expect—" "We have a Hippocratic oath," Chen said quietly, but his voice cut through Ashford's bluster like a scalpel through tissue. "First, do no harm." Maya honored that oath tonight. Ashford's jaw worked soundlessly. Then he smiled, a thin, vicious expression. "Dr. Chen, you're scheduled to retire in 6 months, correct? Perhaps it should be sooner. And Dr. Reeves," he turned to Maya, "clean up this mess. Then clean out your locker. You're suspended, effective immediately, pending a disciplinary hearing." "You can't," Tom started. "I can and I am," Ashford snapped. "Senator Whitmore is the single largest donor to this hospital. His foundation funded the new cardiac wing. And Dr. Reeves made his daughter wait while she played hero with a John Doe." Maya felt the words like physical blows, but she kept her face impassive. "The senator's daughter is alive and well. So is this patient. That's what matters." "What matters," Ashford said, leaning close enough that Maya could smell his expensive cologne, "is that you're finished in this city. I'll make sure every hospital in Boston knows what you did. You'll be lucky to work in a veterinary clinic." He turned and strode out, the chief of staff scurrying behind him. The trauma bay was silent except for the steady beep of the monitors. Chen put a hand on Maya's shoulder. "I'll fight this." "Don't." Maya stripped off her bloody gloves. "You're 6 months from retirement. Your pension. They'll take it all." "Maya." "I knew what I was doing," Maya said softly. She looked at the unconscious man on the table. "I'd do it again." Chen nodded slowly. "Your father, how is he?" Maya's composure cracked, just for a second. Her father had suffered a massive stroke 3 weeks ago. The bills were crushing. She was the family's only income. "Managing," she lied. Chen saw through it. He always did. "I have some money saved. Let me—" "No." Maya's voice was firm. "Thank you, but no." She looked at Tom. "Make sure he gets to ICU. Watch for compartment syndrome in his legs and monitor his cardiac enzymes. Those burns on his chest might be chemical, not thermal." "Where are you going?" Tom asked. Maya pulled off her trauma gown. Underneath, her scrubs were soaked with the stranger's blood. "To clean out my locker, apparently." She walked out of Trauma Bay 1 for the last time. As she passed Bay 3, she saw Emily Whitmore, the senator's daughter, sitting up in bed, texting. The girl glanced up, saw Maya, and looked away quickly. No thank you, no acknowledgement, just another entitled kid who'd never know what it cost to save the life of someone who couldn't save themselves. Maya made it to the locker room before the shaking started. She sat down on the bench, staring at the locker she'd used for 4 years. Inside were photos of her family, a spare stethoscope her grandmother had given her when she graduated medical school, and a letter from her father telling her how proud he was. She didn't cry. She'd learned long ago that crying changed nothing. Her phone buzzed. Text from Tom. John Doe stable, moving to ICU. Also, Maya, there was something weird in his blood work. Toxicology is showing compounds I've never seen. Not street drugs, something else. Maya stared at the message. Then she looked at the time. 3:47 a.m. She had been fired for saving a man she didn't even know, who might be carrying something in his bloodstream that Tom, a nurse with 2 decades of ER experience, had never encountered. She typed back, "Keep me updated. And Tom, thank you." His response came immediately. "You're the best doctor I've ever worked with. They're fools." Maya allowed herself a small smile. Then she started packing. She didn't know that 7 floors above her, in the ICU, the John Doe's eyes were flickering beneath closed lids. She didn't know that a military tracking beacon embedded in his sternum, damaged in the explosion, inoperative for 72 hours, had just sent out a single, desperate ping to a satellite 200 miles overhead. And she definitely didn't know that the ping had been received by a tactical operations center in Virginia, where a man named Commander Garrett Stone had just gone absolutely still while reading his computer screen. The last confirmed location of his missing brother, the brother everyone had assumed was dead, was Harbor Heights Medical Center, Boston, Massachusetts. Garrett was already moving toward the helicopter pad before his second-in-command could ask questions. Maya Reeves locked her locker for the last time, threw her bag over her shoulder, and walked out into the cold Boston night. The storm was still raging, but somewhere in the darkness, another storm was coming, one that would change everything. 3 days. That's how long it took for Maya's entire life to collapse. The eviction notice came first, slipped under her apartment door at 6 a.m. on Friday morning. Her landlord, Mrs. Chen, a woman who'd always smiled and accepted late rent during Maya's residency, left a voicemail that was pure ice. The building owner saw the news. "He doesn't want trouble. You have 30 days. The news, of course. Maya sat on her couch in the dark, watching her phone light up with notifications she refused to read. Her father was asleep in the bedroom. The stroke had left him partially paralyzed, unable to speak more than a few words. He'd tried to ask her what was wrong that morning. She'd lied and said everything was fine. She was good at lying now. Her phone buzzed again. Not a notification this time. A call. Tom Brighton. She almost didn't answer, but Tom had been the only person at Harbor Heights who'd stood beside her when security escorted her out. He deserved better than silence. "Tom." "Maya, thank God. Are you watching the news?" "No. Don't. Just don't." His voice was strained. "It's bad. They're calling you reckless, unstable. There's an interview with Ashford where he says you physically assaulted him." Maya's hand tightened on the phone. "I pushed him away when he grabbed me during a procedure. That's not assault." "I know that. You know that. But they're spinning it like you attacked an administrator to protect a homeless addict." "He wasn't." Maya stopped. She didn't actually know what the John Doe was. "How is he? The patient?" Tom's pause was too long. "That's why I'm calling. Maya, something's wrong. Really wrong." She sat up straighter. "What kind of wrong?" "He woke up yesterday morning, started thrashing, ripped out his IVs, broke Dr. Morrison's wrist when he tried to restrain him. Security had to sedate him. But here's the thing. When he was conscious, he kept asking for someone." "Who?" "He didn't have a name. He just kept saying, 'The voice in the dark.' The woman who told him he wasn't dying alone." Tom's voice dropped. "Maya, he was asking for you." The words hit her like a physical blow. She'd whispered that to him in the trauma bay when everyone thought he was too far gone to hear. When she was cutting into his chest, knowing she was ending her career to save a stranger, he'd heard her. "There's more," Tom continued. "Those toxicology results I mentioned, I showed them to a friend at Mass General. She thinks he was deliberately poisoned. Not street drugs, Maya. Military-grade nerve agents, the kind that don't exist outside Black Ops programs. Maya's medical mind was already processing. Symptoms? Intermittent paralysis, respiratory distress, cardiac arrhythmias. But here's what's crazy. The compounds are breaking down faster than they should, like his body's metabolizing them in a way that shouldn't be possible. Enhanced metabolism, Maya said slowly. Some special forces units undergo conditioning that... She stopped. Tom, that tattoo, did anyone identify it? DEVGRU, SEAL Team 6. Tom's voice was grim. Maya, I think you saved a Navy SEAL who was poisoned during a classified operation. And now he's in restraints in our ICU, asking for a doctor we just fired. Before Maya could respond, she heard shouting in the background on Tom's end. Loud voices, official voices. Tom, what's happening? I have to go. Jesus, Maya, there are armed soldiers in the ER. They're asking about the John Doe. The line went dead. Maya stared at her phone. Her hands were shaking. Armed soldiers. Classified operations. A patient who'd been poisoned with compounds that shouldn't exist. What had she stumbled into? Her doorbell rang. 3 sharp, authoritative knocks. Maya froze. It was 8 p.m. She wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole, she saw a man in civilian clothes, jeans, leather jacket, but everything about his posture screamed military. Behind him, 2 more men, same energy, same barely concealed threat. She kept the chain on and opened the door 3 inches. Dr. Maya Reeves? The man's voice was deep, controlled. He held up a military ID. Commander Garrett Stone, United States Special Operations Command. I need to talk to you about a patient you treated 3 days ago. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. I don't work at Harbor Heights anymore. I know, that's why I'm here. Garrett's eyes, ice blue, intense, locked onto hers. You saved my brother's life. Now I need you to save it again. Maya's hand tightened on the doorframe. Your brother? Lieutenant Daniel Stone. You know him as John Doe. Garrett pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. 2 men in dress whites, smiling on a naval base. One was clearly Garrett, the other was her patient, cleaned up, healthy, very much alive. Daniel was investigating domestic weapons trafficking when his convoy was ambushed. We thought he was dead until his emergency beacon activated 72 hours ago. Last known location, Harbor Heights Medical Center. Maya's mind raced. The toxicology results. He was poisoned. Garrett's expression darkened. You know about that? A nurse called me, said the compounds were military grade. They are. VX variant, nerve agent, modified for delayed action. Whoever attacked Daniel wanted him to suffer. Garrett stepped closer to the door. Dr. Reeves, my brother is alive because of you, but he's deteriorating. The hospital staff can't treat him because they don't know what they're dealing with. And Daniel, his voice cracked just slightly, he won't let anyone near him. He's in full combat mode, thinks everyone's a threat, except he keeps asking for you. I can't help you. I'm suspended. If I step foot in that hospital, Ashford will have me arrested for trespassing. Ashford's been removed from his position as of 2 hours ago, Garrett said flatly. Federal investigation into medical fraud and obstruction. He won't be a problem. Maya blinked. How did you? I made some calls. Garrett's smile was cold. Dr. Reeves, I don't have time for hospital politics. My brother is dying. You're the only person he trusts. I need you to come with me, now. I can't just leave, my father. Will be taken care of. Garrett nodded to one of the men behind him. This is Corman Davis. He's a trained medical professional. He'll stay with your father while you're gone. Full medical monitoring, anything he needs. Maya looked at the young man stepping forward. He had kind eyes and the calm competence of someone who'd seen combat medicine. Ma'am, Davis said quietly, I've been doing this for 8 years. Your father will be safe with me. Maya's instincts screamed that this was insane. She'd just been fired. She had no legal protection. She didn't know these men. But a patient was asking for her. A patient who'd been poisoned and was dying while trapped in his own mind. She'd taken an oath. First, do no harm. "Give me 5 minutes," she said. Garrett nodded. "We'll be in the vehicle." Maya closed the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. Then she moved to her bedroom where her father was sleeping. She gently touched his hand. His eyes opened. He looked at her, trying to form words. Finally, he managed, "Go." "Dad, help." He squeezed her hand with his good one. "You help." Maya kissed his forehead. "I love you." She grabbed her medical bag, the one she'd packed out of habit even after being fired, and walked out into the night. The vehicle was an unmarked black SUV. Garrett opened the back door for her. Inside, the atmosphere was pure military efficiency. Tactical gear, secured weapons, encrypted radios crackling with coded chatter. They were moving before she'd even buckled her seatbelt. "Status update," Garrett barked into his comms. A voice crackled back. "Subject is barricaded in ICU room 6. Hospital security attempted breach at 1900 hours. He disarmed 2 guards and used a bed frame to block the door. No injuries, but he's threatening lethal force if anyone approaches." Garrett looked at Maya. He thinks he's still in the field. Combat stress reaction combined with the nerve agent's effects. His threat assessment is completely compromised. "What does that mean in practical terms?" Maya asked. "It means my brother, one of the most highly trained operators in the U.S. military, thinks everyone in that hospital is trying to kill him." Garrett's jaw tightened. "And if they push him, he will hurt people. He won't mean to, but he will." The SUV screeched around a corner. Maya grabbed the handle to steady herself. "Why me?" she asked. "Why does he trust me?" "Because you were the only person who fought for him when everyone else walked away." Garrett's voice was quiet now, almost gentle. Daniel was conscious enough to hear what was happening. He heard that administrator order you to leave him. He heard you refuse. He heard you tell him he wasn't dying alone. Garrett turned to look at her. In Daniel's world right now, everyone's a threat except the woman who defied orders to save him. Maya felt something twist in her chest. The nerve agent. How much time does he have? Unknown. The modified VX is breaking down, but it's causing cascading organ damage. Kidneys are starting to fail. If we don't neutralize the toxin in the next 48 hours, Garrett didn't finish the sentence. The SUV pulled up to Harbor Heights. The scene outside was chaos. Police cars, news vans, crowds of onlookers. Maya saw Ashford being escorted out by 2 FBI agents. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. He saw her in the SUV, his face twisted with rage. Garrett noticed. "Want me to have him arrested for something else?" "You can do that?" "I can do a lot of things, Dr. Reeves." Garrett opened his door. "Stay close to me. Don't answer any questions from the media. We're going straight to Daniel's room." They moved through the crowd like a military convoy. Garrett's team formed a protective box around Maya. Reporters shouted questions. She heard her name, heard rogue doctor, heard special forces. Inside the ER, the staff stared. Tom Brighton stepped forward, his face a mixture of relief and confusion. "Maya." "Not now, Tom," she said quietly. "I'll explain later." They took the elevator to the ICU. The doors opened onto a floor that looked like a tactical situation. Hospital security on one side, Garrett's team on the other, and in the middle, a barricaded door with a sign that read, Room 6. The head of hospital security, a former cop named Williams, stepped forward. "Commander, we can breach the door. We have tranquilizer rounds." "You will not," Garrett said, his voice dropping to a dangerous octave. "That's a direct order. Anyone who tries to enter that room without my authorization will be removed from this floor." Williams bristled. "This is a hospital, not a military base." And that's a federal agent inside who's been subjected to an act of chemical warfare on U.S. soil. Garrett stepped closer to Williams. This is now a federal crime scene. Your authority here just ended. Maya moved past both of them. She approached the door and knocked gently. Inside, she heard movement, heavy breathing, the sound of something metal scraping across the floor. Lieutenant Stone, she said quietly, it's Dr. Reeves, the woman from the trauma bay. Can you hear me? Silence. Then, that voice. His voice was rough, damaged, but there was recognition in it. Yes, it's me. I'm here to help you, but I need you to open the door. They sent you to confirm the kill. Daniel's voice was flat, tactical, smart. Use the one voice I remember. Maya's heart clenched. He thought she was part of the threat. Daniel, she said, using his first name deliberately, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened 3 days ago. I'm going to tell you why I know you can trust me. She heard him move closer to the door. You came into my ER with no pulse. An administrator ordered me to leave you and treat a VIP instead. I refused. I performed a thoracostomy without authorization. I got fired for it. Her voice strengthened. I lost my job, my reputation, and my career because I wouldn't let you die. If I wanted to kill you, I would have just walked away like they told me to. The silence stretched so long Maya thought she'd failed. Then the sound of furniture being dragged. The door opened a crack. Daniel Stone looked worse than he had in the trauma bay. His eyes were wild, bloodshot, haunted. He was gripping a scalpel, stolen from God knows where, in a white-knuckled fist. Fresh blood stained his hospital gown from ripped IV sites. He looked at her, really looked. His eyes scanned her face like he was downloading every detail. Then he dropped the scalpel. You're real, he whispered. Maya stepped forward and caught him as his legs gave out. He was heavy, all muscle and bone, but she braced him. I'm real, she confirmed, and you're safe now. Daniel's eyes rolled back. He was crashing. Garrett, Maya shouted. I need a gurney, IV kit, and someone call down for an emergency antidote protocol. Now! Garrett's team moved instantly. Within 60 seconds, they had Daniel on a gurney, Maya had a line in, and they were racing toward the ICU's treatment room. But as Maya worked to stabilize him, she saw something on his arm she'd missed before. Burns. Deliberate. Shaped. Someone had tortured him before poisoning him. This wasn't just an ambush. This was personal. And whoever had done this probably knew Daniel had survived, which meant they'd be coming back to finish the job. Maya's hands moved on autopilot, establishing the IV line while her mind raced. The burns on Daniel's arm weren't random. They were precise, methodical. Someone had taken their time. Garrett, she said without looking up, how long was Daniel missing before the beacon activated? 72 hours. Garrett was at her shoulder, watching his brother's vitals on the monitor. Why? Because these burns are at least 3 days old, infected. Whoever did this kept him alive long enough to torture him before the poisoning. Maya flushed the IV line. They wanted information. Garrett's jaw turned to stone. What kind of information? That's your department, not mine. Maya checked Daniel's pupils. Uneven response. The nerve agent was affecting his brain function. Right now, my concern is keeping him alive long enough to tell you himself. Tom appeared in the doorway, carrying a metal case. Antidote protocol, as requested. But Maya, we don't have the specific anti-venom for modified VX. Standard atropine and pralidoxime might not work. Then we improvise. Maya opened the case, her hands steady despite the adrenaline flooding her system. Daniel's metabolism is processing the toxin faster than normal. That means his body is already fighting it. We just need to support that fight. She drew up the first dose of atropine. Garrett caught her wrist. If you're wrong, he said quietly, this could kill him faster. Maya met his eyes. If I do nothing, he's dead in 6 hours. Maybe less. You brought me here because I was willing to break the rules to save him once. Don't ask me to play it safe now. Garrett held her gaze for 3 long seconds. Then he released her wrist. Do it. Maya injected the medication. They watched the monitors. Daniel's heart rate spiked. 180, 190, 200, and Maya's own heart hammered in response. Too high, dangerously high. Then it started to drop. 170, 150, 130, stabilizing at 110. Respiratory rate improving, Tom reported. Oxygen saturation climbing. Maya allowed herself one breath of relief. We're not out of the woods. The toxin's still in his system. We need to run continuous chelation therapy, and the lights went out. Total darkness. The monitors died mid-beep. Even the backup generators failed to kick in. That's not a power failure, Garrett said, his voice cutting through the sudden silence. She heard the distinct sound of a weapon being drawn. That's a deliberate grid kill. Emergency lighting flickered on, dim, red, barely enough to see. In the crimson glow, Garrett's team was already moving, forming a defensive perimeter around Daniel's gurney. Sit rep, Garrett barked into his comms. Static. Dead air. Comms are jammed. One of Garrett's men, the one they'd called Davis, checked his equipment. Military-grade jamming. Someone's blocking all frequencies. Tom grabbed Maya's arm. What's happening? Before she could answer, the ICU's main doors exploded inward. Not with explosives, with a battering ram. 6 men in tactical gear poured through, faces covered, weapons raised. But they weren't police. They weren't military. Their gear was too clean, too new. Private contractors. Mercenaries. Federal agents, one of them shouted. Nobody move. Garrett's laugh was cold. You're not federal anything. Real operators don't announce themselves. The lead mercenary's weapon swung toward Daniel. The target comes with us. Everyone else, stand down. Not happening. Garrett positioned himself between the mercenaries and his brother. His team mirrored the movement, creating a human wall. Maya's medical training screamed at her to get down, to hide, to protect herself. But Daniel was unconscious, vulnerable, still connected to IVs that couldn't be moved without killing him. She stayed exactly where she was. Dr. Reeves, the lead mercenary said, and Maya's blood turned to ice. He knew her name. Step away from the patient. This doesn't concern you. Everything about my patient concerns me. Maya's voice was steadier than she felt. He's in critical condition. Moving him will kill him. He's dead anyway. The mercenary took a step closer. The poison is irreversible. We're just accelerating the inevitable. Then why do you want him? Garrett's question was sharp, tactical. If he's dying, why risk an assault on a hospital? The mercenary's silence was answer enough. Daniel wasn't dying, not anymore, and whoever sent these men knew it, which meant they were terrified of what Daniel might say when he woke up. Last chance, the mercenary said. Hand over the target or we start with the doctor. His weapon shifted to Maya. She saw Garrett tense, saw his team preparing to engage. In a hospital, with patients 1 floor below, with Tom standing 3 feet away. Wait! Maya stepped forward, hands raised. I'll come with you. Just don't shoot. Maya, no, Tom started. Shut up, Tom. Maya kept her eyes on the mercenary. You want Daniel? Fine. But he needs continuous medical care or he crashes. You kill me, you lose your leverage. Take me with him. The mercenary's head tilted, considering. Smart doctor. Not smart, Garrett said. Brave. There's a difference. The mercenary gestured with his weapon. Disconnect him. You have 60 seconds. Maya's hands shook as she began removing the IV lines. She worked slowly, buying time. 30 seconds. 45. She saw Garrett's team shifting position, saw the tension coiling in their muscles. They were going to make a move, and people were going to die. Done, Maya lied, one line still connected. He's ready to transport. The mercenary stepped closer to verify. Garrett moved at the same instant. What happened next took 3 seconds, but felt like an eternity. Garrett grabbed the mercenary's weapon, twisted it upward. The gun fired, deafening in the enclosed space, the round punching into the ceiling. Garrett's team engaged the other mercenaries. Tom dove behind a desk. Maya threw herself over Daniel's gurney, shielding him with her body. Then the second wave came through the windows. Glass shattered. More mercenaries rappelled down from the floor above. 8 now. 10. They weren't here to extract Daniel quietly. They were here to erase him. "Fall back!" Garrett shouted. "Get Daniel to the stairwell!" His team moved as one unit, pushing the gurney toward the emergency exit. Maya ran alongside, one hand on the IV bag, the other trying to keep Daniel's head stabilized. Bullets sparked off metal, embedding in walls. Someone was screaming. Maybe her. They crashed through the stairwell door. Garrett slammed it shut behind them, and one of his men jammed the handle with a piece of metal rebar. "That'll hold them 30 seconds, the man said. "Maybe less." "Then we move fast." Garrett looked at Maya. "Can he survive going down 6 flights of stairs?" "Can he survive staying here?" Maya shot back. They started down. The gurney banged against the concrete walls. Daniel's monitors, the portable ones Maya had grabbed, showed his vitals spiking. Stress response. His body couldn't take much more. 2 flights down, the door above them exploded open. Footsteps thundered on the stairs. "Contact rear," someone shouted. Garrett's team returned fire, the sound deafening in the enclosed space. Maya's ears rang. She tasted copper, blood from where she'd bitten her tongue. They burst out onto the 4th floor. The hallway was empty. Every patient had been evacuated when the power died. Smart. "Where are we going?" Maya gasped, running to keep pace. "Parking garage," Garrett panted. "Extraction vehicle, if we can reach it." They rounded a corner and came face to face with 3 more mercenaries. No time to stop. Garrett fired without breaking stride. 2 went down. The 3rd got a shot off. Maya felt the impact before she registered the pain. Something punched her left shoulder, spinning her halfway around. She stumbled, but didn't fall. Couldn't fall. Daniel needed her. "Maya!" Tom's voice from somewhere behind them. He'd followed them down. "You're hit. Keep moving." Garrett grabbed her good arm, pulling her forward. The parking garage. They crashed through the doors. The extraction vehicle was there. Armored SUV, engine already running. Someone from Garrett's team had anticipated this. They loaded Daniel into the back. Maya climbed in after him, her left arm now screaming with pain. Blood soaked her shirt. She ignored it. "Drive!" Garrett shouted. The vehicle peeled out. Behind them, mercenaries poured into the garage, weapons blazing. The rear window spiderwebbed with bullet impacts but held. Armored glass. They crashed through the parking garage barrier and onto the street. Civilian cars swerved out of the way. Someone's side mirrors shattered. Maya forced herself to focus. She checked Daniel's vitals with her good hand. Heart rate elevated but stable. Breathing shallow but present. The jostling had dislodged one of his IVs. She tried to reinsert it, but her left hand wouldn't cooperate. Garrett noticed. "You're bleeding." "Flesh wound," Maya said through gritted teeth. "I've had worse paper cuts." "That's a lie." "Yeah, well, I'm a doctor. We're trained to lie to keep patients calm." She finally got the IV line back in. "Where are we going?" "Safe house, 20 minutes north." Garrett pulled off his jacket, wadded it up, and pressed it against her shoulder. "Hold pressure on that." Maya did. The pain was sharp now, insistent. But Daniel was alive. That mattered more. "They knew," she said quietly. "Those mercenaries, they knew exactly where Daniel was. They knew the hospital layout. They knew my name." Garrett's expression darkened. Someone on the inside. Hospital staff? Or someone with access to hospital records? Garrett pulled out a satellite phone, apparently not jammed like the others. He dialed a number. "Sir, we have a situation. Target is extracted but compromised, requesting immediate tactical support and full security sweep of Harbor Heights Medical Center. A pause. Yes, sir. Multiple hostiles. Professional grade. Someone wanted Daniel dead badly enough to assault a civilian hospital. He hung up, looked at Maya. There's something you need to know, Garrett said. Daniel wasn't just investigating weapons trafficking. He was investigating domestic terrorism. A network selling military-grade hardware to extremist groups inside the United States. Maya's stomach dropped. How big a network? Big enough to have people in law enforcement, in government, in hospitals. Garrett's jaw tightened. The explosion that nearly killed Daniel? It wasn't an ambush. It was an execution attempt. Someone in his own chain of command gave up his location. You think someone at Harbor Heights? I think someone at Harbor Heights facilitated Daniel's torture and poisoning. And when you saved his life, you became a problem they needed to eliminate. Maya thought about Ashford, about how quickly he'd move to fire her, about Senator Whitmore's daughter showing up at the exact moment Daniel arrived. The senator's daughter, Maya said slowly. Her accident, was it real? Garrett pulled up a file on a tablet with his free hand. Emily Whitmore's BMW was found with cut brake lines. Someone wanted her at that hospital at that exact time. Why? Because her father, Senator Richard Whitmore, sits on the Armed Services Committee. He has oversight on special operations, including Daniel's unit. Garrett's voice was grim. If Daniel died while the senator's daughter was in the ER, it would look like a hospital screw-up during a VIP crisis. Perfect cover. Maya's head spun. You're saying Senator Whitmore is involved in this? I'm saying someone is using him as cover. His chief of staff maybe, his campaign donors, someone with enough access to manipulate hospital administration. The SUV swerved hard. Maya grabbed Daniel's gurney to keep it from sliding. We've got a tail, the driver reported. Black sedan, 2 cars back. Garrett looked out the rear window. Confirmed, same mercenary team. How are they tracking us? Maya demanded. This vehicle is supposed to be secure. Garrett's face went cold. He looked at Daniel, at the hospital gown, at the IV bag Maya had grabbed, at the portable monitor. The equipment, Garrett said. They tagged the hospital equipment. Maya stared at the monitor in horror. We led them right to us. Garrett ripped the monitor's power cord out, threw the entire unit out the window. It shattered on the road behind them. The black sedan didn't slow down. They're not following the monitor, the driver said. They're following something else. Garrett's eyes widened. He grabbed Daniel's arm, the one with the burns, and felt along the damaged tissue. His fingers found something small, hard, embedded under the skin. A tracking chip. They tagged him, Garrett said, his voice hollow. When they tortured him, they implanted a tracker. Can you remove it? Maya asked. Not while we're moving, not without proper equipment. Garrett looked at his brother's unconscious face. And definitely not without anesthesia. The sedan was gaining. Maya could see the silhouettes inside. 3 men, all armed. We're not going to make it to the safe house, she said. No, Garrett agreed. We're not. He leaned forward to the driver. Take us to the secondary location, the one we don't talk about. Boss, I know what it is. Do it. The SUV changed direction, heading east instead of north, toward the industrial district, toward the part of Boston where people didn't ask questions and cameras didn't work. Maya pressed harder on her shoulder wound. Blood was seeping through Garrett's jacket. She was getting lightheaded. Stay with me, Doc, Garrett said quietly. I need you conscious. I need a hospital, Maya said, then laughed, sharp, slightly hysterical. Oh, wait, I just got shot escaping one. Welcome to my world. Your world is insane. Yeah, Garrett checked his weapon, but you fit into it better than you think. The SUV screeched to a halt outside a warehouse. Looked abandoned. Probably wasn't. Inside, Garrett ordered, fast and quiet. They unloaded Daniel. Maya stumbled getting out. Garrett caught her with his free arm. "I've got you," he said. "I know," Maya whispered, and realized she meant it. They were inside for 30 seconds before the black sedan pulled up outside. Garrett's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You have something that belongs to us. Trade the target for the doctor. You have 5 minutes to decide." Maya read it over his shoulder. "Don't. I'm not trading you. I'm not asking you to. I'm telling you not to." Maya grabbed his arm with her good hand. "Daniel has information they'll kill to protect. If you give him up, everything he knows dies with him. Everyone he was trying to save becomes a target. You know I'm right." Garrett stared at her. "You're bleeding out. Then work fast." He looked at his team, at his unconscious brother, at the doctor who'd already sacrificed everything to save a stranger. "All right," Garrett said. "New plan. We remove the tracker, we fight our way out, and nobody dies today except the people trying to kill us." "How do we remove the tracker?" Maya asked. Garrett pulled out a combat knife. "The old-fashioned way." Maya looked at the knife in Garrett's hand. The blade was stained, not with rust, but with the memory of previous use. This wasn't a tool. This was a weapon being repurposed. "You can't just cut into him," Maya said. "We need sterile conditions, local anesthetic, proper—" "We have 4 minutes," Garrett interrupted, "and a building full of mercenaries who will execute all of us if we don't move faster than perfect." Daniel's eyes flickered beneath closed lids. His body knew something was wrong. Even unconscious, his training was trying to surface. Maya grabbed the knife from Garrett's hand with her good arm. "Then I do it. I'm the doctor. You're also bleeding out." "Not relevant." Maya positioned herself over Daniel's arm, found the small, hard mass under the burned skin. The tracker was deep. Whoever implanted it knew what they were doing. "Hold him down. When I cut, his body will try to fight even if his brain doesn't wake up." Garrett's team moved without being asked. 2 men on Daniel's shoulders, 1 on his legs. Combat medics who'd done field surgery in worse conditions. Maya didn't have anesthetic, didn't have proper instruments, didn't have time. She cut. Daniel's body arched off the table despite 4 grown men holding him. His eyes snapped open, wild, unseeing, pure survival instinct. He grabbed Maya's wrist with crushing strength. "Daniel!" Garrett's voice cut through the chaos. "Stand down! She's helping you!" But Daniel wasn't hearing commands. He was back in whatever hell he'd survived before the hospital. His grip tightened on Maya's wrist. She felt bones grinding together. "Daniel," Maya said quietly, not fighting his hold. "It's me." The voice from the dark. "Remember? I told you that you weren't dying alone." His eyes focused, found her face. Recognition flickered. "The doctor," he rasped. His voice sounded like gravel being crushed. "You got fired." "I got shot too," Maya said. "So we're even. Now let me finish getting this tracker out of your arm before more people try to kill us." Daniel released her wrist, looked at Garrett. "Brother." "Yeah," Garrett's voice cracked just slightly. "I'm here." "You brought her back." Daniel's gaze returned to Maya. "Smart. Can you stay conscious?" Maya asked, already working the tracker loose from the muscle tissue. "Because I could use your help convincing your body not to go into shock." "SEAL training, pain management." Daniel's jaw clenched. "I can handle it." He was lying. Maya could see it in the way sweat beaded on his forehead, in the white-knuckled grip he had on the edge of the gurney. But he stayed still while she worked. The tracker came free with a wet sound that made even Garrett wince. Maya held up the small device, barely larger than a grain of rice, covered in Daniel's blood. "Got it." "Timer?" Garrett asked. Maya looked at the warehouse door. 2 minutes, maybe less. One of Garrett's men grabbed the tracker, sprinted to the back of the warehouse, and threw it into a drainage pipe that led to the sewer system. "Let the mercenaries track that." "Now what?" Maya asked. Her vision was blurring at the edges, blood loss catching up to her. "Now we figure out who's running this operation before they regroup." Garrett caught Maya as she swayed, starting with why they want Daniel dead so badly. Daniel pushed himself upright despite his team's protests. I know why. Everyone turned to look at him. The convoy attack wasn't random, Daniel said. His voice was getting stronger, his eyes clearer. The antidote was working. I was investigating weapons trafficking, yeah, but I found something bigger, much bigger. How much bigger? Garrett asked. Senator Whitmore isn't the corrupt one. He's the patsy. Daniel coughed, winced. His chief of staff, Marcus Webb, is running the operation, using the senator's position to facilitate military equipment sales to domestic terror cells. Maya's head snapped up despite the dizziness. Marcus Webb, that's impossible. Daniel looked at her. You know him? He's a doctor at Harbor Heights, Dr. Marcus Webb. I work with him. Maya's mind raced. Worked with him. Past tense. He's ER attending. I've known him for 3 years. Same name, same person, Daniel said. Medical degree is real. Military background is fabricated. He's using his position at the hospital to treat wounded operatives, falsify medical records, and create cover stories for trafficking activities. The pieces clicked together in Maya's head with sickening clarity. That's why Ashford pushed so hard to stop me from treating you. Webb told him to. If I'd walked away, you would have died, and no one would have questioned it. And when you didn't walk away, Garrett said, you became a liability. The senator's daughter, Maya continued, Emily, her accident wasn't just for show. Webb needed chaos at the hospital, needed every resource focused somewhere else while he, what, confirmed Daniel was there? Called in the hit? Both, Daniel said. I regained consciousness for maybe 30 seconds in the trauma bay, heard Webb's voice. He was on his phone saying, target acquired, initiating cleanup protocol. Then why didn't he just kill you himself? Maya asked. Because too many people saw me arrive. Too many witnesses. Daniel met her eyes, including one very stubborn doctor who refused to let me die. A sound outside. Engines. Multiple vehicles. Garrett's phone buzzed. Another text. We know you removed the tracker. Doesn't matter. We have the warehouse surrounded. Send out Dr. Reeves and Lieutenant Stone. Everyone else can walk away. They're bluffing, one of Garrett's men said. No, they're not, Maya said quietly. She was looking at her own phone. A new message from an unknown number. It showed a photo, her father, asleep in his bedroom, with Corman Davis slumped unconscious in the corner. The message read, we have your father. Trade yourself for his safety. You have 2 minutes. Maya's world tilted. She showed the phone to Garrett. God damn it, Garrett breathed. How did they? Davis was one of yours, Maya said. Her voice was hollow. How did they get past him? Garrett's face went white. He grabbed his radio. Base, this is Ogre 1. Need immediate confirmation on Corman Davis's status and location. Static. Then a voice Maya didn't recognize. Commander Stone, this is Oversight. Corman Davis was found unconscious 30 minutes ago. Security breach at Dr. Reeves's residence. Intruders unknown. They took the father. Maya felt the floor drop out from under her. Her father, stroke victim, partially paralyzed, unable to defend himself, was in the hands of mercenaries who'd already proven they'd torture for information. I have to go, Maya said. I have to trade myself. No, Garrett grabbed her good arm. That's what they want. You go out there, they kill you and your father both. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Garrett's voice was harsh. This is what they do, Maya. They use leverage. They exploit weakness. You walk out there and you both die. Then what do you suggest? Maya's voice broke. That's my father. Daniel struggled to his feet, using the gurney for support. How many hostiles outside? Motion sensors show 12, one of Garrett's men reported. Armed. Professional formation. 2 vehicles blocking exits. 12 against 6, Daniel said. Terrible odds. 5, Garrett corrected. You're barely conscious in Maya's shot. 4.5, Maya said. I can still hold a gun with my good hand. You're a doctor, not a soldier. I'm both now. Maya checked her shoulder wound, still bleeding, but slower. She'd lived long enough to matter. And I'm not letting my father die because I'm too scared to fight. Daniel looked at his brother. Something passed between them. Years of shared combat, shared losses, shared impossible situations. We don't have to fight all 12, Daniel said. Just one. What are you talking about? Garrett asked. Webb. He's here. He has to be. Daniel's eyes were sharp now, focused. This is his operation. He wouldn't trust anyone else to clean up his mess. So we get him, we get leverage. How do you know he's here? Daniel held up his arm, the one with the burns. Because he's the one who did this. I saw his face before they drugged me. He enjoyed it. Maya felt bile rise in her throat. The man she'd worked beside for 3 years, who'd helped her learn the ER's systems, who'd brought donuts on Christmas shifts. That man had tortured Daniel. So we draw him out, Garrett said slowly, understanding dawning. Make him think he's won. I'll go, Maya said immediately. I'll tell them I'm surrendering. That'll bring Webb close enough to... To what? Garrett interrupted. You're a civilian doctor, Maya, not bait. I stopped being just a doctor the moment I saved Daniel, Maya said. Webb made sure of that. She walked toward the warehouse door before anyone could stop her. Garrett grabbed her, gently, careful of her wound. If you do this, he said quietly, there's no going back. Your life won't ever be normal again. My life stopped being normal 3 days ago. Maya looked at him. And honestly, normal was overrated. She opened the door, stepped out into the harsh glare of vehicle headlights, raised her good hand in surrender. I'm Dr. Maya Reeves, she called out. I'm unarmed. I'm here to negotiate. A figure stepped forward from behind the lights. Expensive suit, familiar walk. Dr. Marcus Webb looked exactly like he always did. Professional, composed, trustworthy. Right up until he smiled. Maya, Webb said, you should have walked away when Ashford told you to. Yeah, well, I'm bad at following orders. Maya took a step forward. Her shoulders screamed. She ignored it. You have my father. I want proof he's alive. Webb gestured. 2 mercenaries dragged someone forward. Her father, conscious but gagged, hands zip-tied. He looked terrified but unharmed. Relief flooded through Maya. Let him go and I'll cooperate. Will you? Webb stepped closer. Because I don't think you're the cooperative type, Maya. I think you're the type to record this conversation on your phone. The one in your back pocket. The one you activated before you walked out here. Maya's blood turned to ice. Webb pulled out a signal jammer. Nice try, though. Very CSI. He nodded to his men. Bring her. The mercenaries moved forward. Maya tensed. This was it. The moment where Garrett's team would have to act, or she'd be gone. Then Daniel's voice cut through the tension like a blade. Webb! Everyone turned. Daniel stood in the warehouse doorway, barely upright, clearly in pain, but his weapon was steady and aimed directly at Webb's chest. Lieutenant Stone, Webb said, remarkable resilience. The poison should have killed you 3 times over. Disappointing, isn't it? Daniel's voice was cold. All that torture, all that planning, and I'm still here. Not for long. Webb's hand moved toward his weapon. I wouldn't. Daniel didn't flinch. I've got 12 rounds. You've got 12 men. I can kill you before anyone gets a shot off. Question is, are you worth dying for? Webb's men hesitated. Mercenaries weren't true believers. They were contractors, paid to do a job, not to die for someone else's cause. Webb saw it, the moment his control slipped. You don't have the shot, Webb said. You're barely standing. Want to test that theory? The standoff held for 3 endless seconds. Then Maya heard it. Sirens, multiple vehicles, coming fast. Webb heard it too, his face twisted with rage. You called the FBI. Better, Garrett said, Stepping out behind Daniel, he held up his phone. I called the Secretary of Defense, who called the Director of National Intelligence, who authorized a full tactical response. He smiled. Turns out when you torture a Navy SEAL investigating domestic terrorism, people take it personally. The sirens were close now, less than a block away. Webb's mercenaries were already backing toward their vehicles. They knew when a mission was compromised, but Webb wasn't moving. He was staring at Maya with pure hatred. "You ruined everything," he said. "Good," Maya replied. Webb drew his weapon, not at Daniel, at Maya's father. Everything slowed down. Maya screamed, started running despite the bullet in her shoulder, knew she wouldn't make it in time. Daniel fired. The round caught Webb in the shoulder, the exact same shoulder Maya had been shot in. Poetic justice. Webb's gun clattered to the ground. FBI vehicles screamed into the lot. Agents poured out. Webb's mercenaries scattered, but there was nowhere to go. The perimeter was sealed. Maya reached her father, cut through his zip ties with shaking hands. He pulled the gag free and grabbed her face with his good hand. "You okay?" he managed. "Yeah, Dad." Maya was crying now. "I'm okay." Garrett appeared beside them. "Ambulance is 2 minutes out. Both of you need a hospital." "I hate hospitals," Maya said. Garrett laughed, surprised, genuine. "Yeah, I'm getting that impression." FBI agents were cuffing Webb. He was shouting about lawyers, about diplomatic immunity, about senators who owed him favors. "He's not going to stop," Maya said quietly. "Even from prison, this network is too big." "I know," Garrett said. "That's why we need you." Maya looked at him. "Need me for what?" "To testify. To help us track down every person Webb treated at that hospital. To be the face of what happens when someone actually stands up to corruption." Garrett's expression was serious. "Daniel's information is crucial, but your story, the doctor who lost everything to save a stranger, that's what will make people care. I'm not a hero. You kept fighting when any sane person would have run." Garrett helped her stand. "That's the definition of a hero." The ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed to Maya and her father. She let them work, too tired to fight anymore. As they loaded her onto a stretcher, Daniel appeared beside her. He looked terrible, pale, shaking, clearly fighting to stay upright. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what?" "For not walking away." Daniel's hand found hers. "For being exactly as stubborn as my brother. For giving me a reason to keep breathing in that trauma bay when everything in me wanted to quit." Maya squeezed his hand with her good one. "I'll send you a bill for the therapy." He laughed, winced. "Worth every penny." They loaded her into the ambulance. As the doors closed, she saw Garrett coordinating with FBI agents, saw Webb being shoved into a federal vehicle, saw her father safe and alive. 3 days ago, she'd been an ER doctor, following rules and trusting the system. Now she was a woman who'd been shot, fired, and hunted by mercenaries. And somehow, impossibly, she'd never felt more alive. The ambulance pulled away into the night. Maya closed her eyes and let the paramedic work on her shoulder. She'd need surgery, probably physical therapy, definitely a new career. But she'd saved Daniel's life, exposed a terrorist network, protected her father. She'd do it all again in a heartbeat. The surgery took 4 hours. Maya woke up in a private room that didn't look like any hospital she'd ever worked in. No monitors beeping. No nurses bustling. Just Garrett sitting in a chair by the window, watching the door like he expected it to explode. "Where am I?" Maya's throat was dry, her voice scratchy. "Walter Reed Medical Center, VIP Wing." Garrett stood, poured water from a pitcher, helped her drink. "Your father's 3 doors down. Stable. They're running tests to see if the stress triggered any additional stroke damage." Maya tried to sit up. Pain lanced through her shoulder. "I need to see him." "You will, after you heal." Garrett gently pushed her back down. "The bullet nicked your brachial artery. You lost a lot of blood. The surgeon said you're lucky to have full arm function. How long was I out? 18 hours. Maya's eyes widened. Daniel is testifying to a federal grand jury as we speak. Garrett checked his watch. Has been for the past 6 hours. They're building a case against Webb and everyone connected to the trafficking network. And Webb? Singing like a canary, trying to cut a deal. Garrett's expression was cold. Won't help him. We have documents, recordings, satellite footage. He's done. Maya processed this. 18 hours. In that time, the entire conspiracy had started unraveling. What about Harbor Heights? Ashford. Ashford took a plea deal, admitted to accepting bribes from Webb to manipulate patient care and cover up suspicious cases. The hospital board fired the entire administrative staff. They want you back. What? Full reinstatement, back pay, public apology. Garrett handed her a folder. This arrived 2 hours ago. Contract offer. Chief of Trauma Surgery position. Dr. Chen personally recommended you. Maya stared at the papers. Everything she'd lost, everything she'd fought for, being handed back like it had never been taken away. She set the folder aside without opening it. I don't want it, she said quietly. Garrett raised an eyebrow. You sure? That's a significant position. I'm sure. Maya looked at her bandaged shoulder. I can't go back to a place where saving a patient's life is considered controversial, where administrators value donors over human beings, where I'll always wonder if the person in the next bed is a terrorist being treated by corrupt staff. Fair point, Garrett sat back down. So what do you want? Before Maya could answer, the door opened. Daniel walked in, moving carefully but under his own power. He looked better, cleaner. The burns on his arm were bandaged properly. His eyes were clear. You're supposed to be testifying, Garrett said. Took a break. They needed to review some documents. Daniel moved to Maya's bedside. Heard you were awake. Wanted to check on you myself. I'm fine. You got shot protecting me. Technically, I got shot because I refused to hand you over to mercenaries. Different thing. Maya tried to smile, but her face felt heavy. How's the testimony going? Complicated. Webb's network is bigger than we thought. Daniel glanced at Garrett. Tell her. Garrett's jaw tightened. The investigation expanded. Webb wasn't running this operation alone. He had a partner, someone with enough political power to protect the network from federal scrutiny. Maya's stomach dropped. Senator Whitmore. No, Daniel pulled up a chair. The senator's clean, clueless but clean. His chief of staff was using him as cover without his knowledge. But the person actually running the operation, the one who arranged my ambush, who ordered the hospital assault, that was someone else. Who? Garrett pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. Maya's vision blurred for a second, then sharpened with horrifying clarity. Dr. Gerald Chen, her mentor, the man who'd defended her in the trauma bay, who'd told her she did the right thing. No, Maya whispered. That's impossible. Chen was going to fight for me. He supported my decision to save you. He supported you publicly, Daniel said gently. But privately, he was the one who told Webb that I'd survived, who arranged for Ashford to fire you before you could ask too many questions about my case, who planned to have you eliminated once you became a liability. Maya felt like she'd been punched in the chest. Why? Money, power. Chen's been using his position as chief of surgery to create false medical histories for trafficking operatives for the past 8 years. He built the entire network. Garrett's voice was hard. Webb was just the front man. Chen was the architect. But he defended me in front of Ashford. He told me I did good work. Because you saved Daniel in front of witnesses, Daniel explained. If Chen had sided with Ashford, it would have looked suspicious later. So he played the supportive mentor while secretly arranging to have both of us killed. Maya's mind raced back through every interaction with Chen, every piece of advice, every kind word, all of it calculated, all of it manipulation. Where is he now? Her voice was flat. In custody, Garrett said. Arrested 3 hours ago. He tried to run. Made it to Logan Airport before FBI caught him. I want to see him. Maya. I want to see him, Maya repeated, her voice like steel. He used me. Used my trust. I want him to look me in the eye and admit it. Garrett and Daniel exchanged glances. Then Garrett nodded. I'll arrange it. 2 hours later, Maya was in a wheelchair being pushed down a corridor in a federal detention facility. Her shoulder throbbed despite the painkillers. She didn't care. They stopped outside an interrogation room. Through the one-way glass, Maya saw Chen sitting at a table. He looked smaller than she remembered. Older. The man who'd seemed larger than life, the legendary surgeon, the mentor everyone wanted, was just an old man in handcuffs. You don't have to do this, Daniel said quietly. He'd insisted on coming with her. Yes, I do. They wheeled her into the room. Chen looked up. For a moment, genuine surprise crossed his face. Then it smoothed into the familiar, grandfatherly expression she'd known for years. Maya, my dear girl, I'm so relieved you're all right. Don't. Maya's voice was cold. Don't pretend. They told me everything. Chen's mask slipped just slightly. What exactly do you think they told you? That you've been running a weapons trafficking network using Harbor Heights as a cover. That you ordered hits on federal agents. That you planned to have me killed. Maya leaned forward despite the pain. Look me in the eye and tell me it's not true. Chen held her gaze. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then he smiled. Not the warm smile she remembered. Something colder, more calculated. You were always too smart for your own good, Maya. I told Webb that. I said hiring you as trauma chief was a mistake, that you'd notice inconsistencies, ask questions, but he insisted we needed the best. Chen leaned back in his chair. Ironic, isn't it? Your competence is what saved Lieutenant Stone, and what signed your death warrant. Maya felt something cold settle in her chest. Hearing him admit it was different than knowing it intellectually. Why? Why traffic weapons? Why build a network? Why risk everything? Chen shrugged. Because the system is broken, Maya. You know that. You've seen it. Good people dying because they can't afford care. Heroes like Lieutenant Stone sent into impossible situations with no support. Meanwhile, bureaucrats like Ashford get rich, denying treatment. So your solution was to arm terrorist cells? My solution was to create leverage, to fund operations the government wouldn't approve, to save lives they'd written off. Chen's voice took on the passionate quality she remembered from his teaching lectures. Every weapon I sold funded medical equipment for veterans' hospitals, trauma research, programs that save lives. You're lying to yourself, Maya said quietly. Those weapons killed people, innocent people. You can't justify that with charity work. Can't I? Chen smiled. How many lives have you saved, Maya? Hundreds? Thousands? And how many did you sacrifice? How many patients died while you were treating someone else? How many times did you choose who lives and who dies? That's different. Is it? You chose to save Lieutenant Stone over Senator Whitmore's daughter. You prioritize based on need, on likelihood of survival, on your judgment of who deserves saving more. Chen leaned forward. I did the same thing, just on a larger scale. You tortured him, Maya's voice shook. You burned him. You poisoned him. Don't compare your sadism to triage decisions. I did what was necessary to protect the network, to protect the hundreds of lives that network supports. Chen's expression hardened. You're young, Maya, idealistic. You think there are clear lines between right and wrong. Give it 20 more years. See how many impossible choices you make. See how many compromises you accept. I will never, Maya said, each word precise, become you. Chen studied her. We'll see. The government is going to offer you a position, medical consultant for special operations. You'll treat soldiers who do terrible things for good reasons. You'll lie to families about how their sons died. You'll make choices that haunt you. He smiled. And one day, you'll understand why I did what I did. Maya stood up from the wheelchair, ignoring Daniel's protest, ignoring the screaming pain in her shoulder. She walked to the table and looked down at the man who'd shaped her career. No, she said simply, I won't. Because I know the difference between hard choices and evil ones. And what you did was evil. She turned and walked out. Let Daniel catch her when her legs gave out. Let him help her back into the wheelchair. In the corridor, she finally let herself cry. Not for Chen, for the mentor she thought he was. For the trust she'd given. For the innocence of believing that good people always did good things. He's wrong, Daniel said quietly, about you becoming like him. How do you know? Because when you had the choice, save me or follow orders, you chose me, even when it cost you everything. Daniel crouched beside her wheelchair. Chen chose power, you chose people. That's the difference. Maya wiped her eyes. What happens now? Now we finish what you started. Daniel stood. We testify. We expose everyone in the network. We make sure what happened to you, what happened to both of us, means something. The trial took 3 months. Maya testified for 2 days straight, described every detail of that night in the trauma bay, faced down defense attorneys who tried to paint her as reckless, unstable, attention-seeking. She didn't break. Daniel testified for a week. FBI agents testified. Hospital staff testified. The evidence was overwhelming. Chen was convicted on 18 counts, including conspiracy to commit terrorism, weapons trafficking, and attempted murder of a federal officer, sentenced to life without parole. Webb got 40 years. Ashford got 15. Senator Whitmore held a press conference apologizing for his chief of staff's actions and announced his retirement from politics. Emily Whitmore, the senator's daughter, came to see Maya after the trial. She looked different, older, less entitled. I didn't know, Emily said. They were sitting in a coffee shop near Maya's new apartment. About Webb, about any of it. I thought I was just doing a favor for my dad's friend. You were used, Maya said simply. So were you. Emily stirred her coffee nervously. I wanted to say thank you for saving that soldier, even though it meant you couldn't treat me first. You made the right call. Your dad's chief of staff cut your brake lines to create chaos at the hospital. You could have died. I know. Emily's hands shook slightly. I've been in therapy, trying to process it all. The guilt of being part of it, even unknowingly. You're not responsible for other people's choices, Maya said. Just your own. Emily nodded. What will you do now? Something different. That something different arrived 2 weeks later in the form of Garrett Stone, appearing at her door with a file folder. Job offer, he said without preamble. Medical Director for Special Operations Medical Unit. You'd oversee trauma care for high-value missions, train combat medics, develop new protocols for field medicine. Maya looked at the folder. Where? Classified, multiple locations, some domestic, some overseas. The work is dangerous, the hours are terrible. You'll see things that will change you. Sounds familiar. Garrett smiled slightly. Daniel's already accepted a position as tactical consultant. He says he won't work with anyone else. And you? I'm in charge of the unit, which means if you accept, we'll be working together. Closely. Garrett's expression was carefully neutral, but Maya saw something in his eyes. Something that had been building over the past 3 months of debriefings and testimonies and late-night phone calls. Garrett, Maya said carefully, if I take this job, it has to be professional. It will be. I mean it. I can't. I won't be involved with someone in my chain of command. I've seen what happens when personal relationships compromise professional judgment. Understood. Garrett's voice was formal. Completely professional. You have my word. Maya believed him, which was why, 3 weeks later, when she showed up for her first day at the Special Operations Medical Unit, she was surprised to find Daniel waiting outside her office. "Garrett's not your supervisor," Daniel said, grinning. "I checked the org chart. You report directly to the Secretary of Defense. Garrett reports to the Joint Chiefs. Completely separate chains of command." Maya stared at him. "He planned this." "Of course he did. He's a tactical genius." Daniel's grin widened. "Also, he's been in love with you since you told Ashford to shove his administrative order." "He has not." "Maya, he reorganized an entire military medical unit just to make sure he could ask you out without creating a workplace problem." "That's either love or obsessive-compulsive disorder. Possibly both." Maya felt her face heat. I'm not looking for a relationship?" Garrett's voice came from behind her. "Yeah, I got that impression. Which is why I'm not asking you on a date. I'm asking if you want to grab coffee to discuss the new trauma protocols." Maya turned. Garrett stood there in his dress uniform, looking professional and completely terrifying and somehow vulnerable all at once. "Just coffee?" she asked. "Just coffee," he confirmed. "Unless you want it to be more. Then it could be more, but only if you want. No pressure. I can wait." "How long?" "However long it takes." Garrett's voice was absolutely serious. "I've waited 3 months already. I can wait 3 years if that's what you need." Maya looked at this man who'd moved heaven and earth to protect her, who'd reorganized military bureaucracy just to make sure asking her to coffee was appropriate, who'd proven over and over that he valued her autonomy as much as he valued her company. "Coffee sounds good," she said. "Maybe dinner after." Garrett's smile transformed his entire face. "Dinner sounds perfect." Daniel fake gagged. "You two are disgusting. I'm going to go find some combat to cleanse my palate." He walked away, laughing. Maya and Garrett stood there in the hallway of a classified military facility, both in uniform, both carrying the scars of the past 3 months. "So," Garrett said, "tomorrow? 1900 hours?" "Tomorrow," Maya agreed. "But Garrett..." "Yeah? I'm still going to argue with you when I think you're wrong. I'm counting on it." 6 months later, Maya stood in the medical bay of a forward operating base in a location she couldn't name, performing emergency surgery on a soldier who'd taken shrapnel from an IED. The conditions were terrible. The equipment was barely adequate. She was exhausted, stressed, and hadn't slept in 36 hours. She'd never been happier. This was medicine stripped down to its essentials. No insurance companies, no hospital politics, just her skills and a patient who needed them. The soldier stabilized. Maya stepped back, let her team handle the post-op care. She walked out into the desert night and called her father. "I'm okay, Dad," she said when he answered. "Just checking in." Good. His speech had improved. Therapy was working. "Proud." "I know. I'm proud of you too." She hung up. Garrett appeared beside her, handed her a bottle of water. "Good work in there," he said. "Thanks." Maya drank half the bottle in one go. "How's the mission?" "Successful. Target secured. Intel recovered. Heading home tomorrow." "Good." Maya leaned against him slightly. They'd been together officially for 3 months now. It still felt new. Still felt like something that might break if she wasn't careful. But it hadn't broken yet. "Maya," Garrett said quietly, "I need to tell you something." Her stomach tightened. "What?" "Daniel's being promoted. New assignment. Classified location for at least a year." "Okay. He wants you to be his primary medical officer. Wants to bring you with him." Maya turned to look at Garrett. "And you?" "I think you should go." Garrett's voice was steady. "It's an incredible opportunity. Important work. Daniel trusts you completely." "That's not what I asked." Garrett met her eyes. "I'll miss you every single day. I'll worry about you constantly. I'll hate being separated." He touched her face gently. "But I won't stand in the way of your career. Not ever." Maya kissed him. Right there in the middle of a military base, where they were both supposed to maintain professional boundaries. She didn't care. "I'm not going," she said when they broke apart. "Maya, I'm not going because I choose to stay here, with this unit, with you." She smiled. "Daniel will be fine. He's got other great medics. But this, you and me, this team, this is where I'm supposed to be." Garrett pulled her close, careful of her old shoulder injury. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." Maya rested her head against his chest. "For the first time in my life, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." 3 years later, Dr. Maya Reeves stood at a podium at Harbor Heights Medical Center, completely rebuilt under new administration, giving a lecture to trauma residents about the ethics of emergency medicine. "You will face impossible choices," she told them, "moments where every option feels wrong, where saving one patient means losing another, where doing the right thing costs you everything." She paused, looked at the young faces staring up at her. She saw herself in them, young, idealistic, believing the world was simpler than it was. "And in those moments," Maya continued, "you'll have to decide what kind of doctor you want to be, the kind who follows orders even when they're wrong, or the kind who fights for patients even when fighting costs everything." She thought about that night in the trauma bay, about the stranger with no name who'd become her purpose, about everything she'd lost and everything she'd gained. "I can't tell you which choice to make," Maya said, "but I can tell you this. 3 years ago, I was fired from this hospital for refusing to let a patient die. I lost my job, my reputation, my safety. I was shot, hunted, nearly killed." She smiled. "And I'd do it all again, because that patient survived, because standing up to corruption mattered, because sometimes the right choice is the hard one." The residents applauded. Maya stepped down from the podium. In the back of the auditorium, Garrett and Daniel waited. Both in civilian clothes now, Daniel had retired from active duty to teach tactical medicine. Garrett had taken a Pentagon position overseeing military medical operations. "Good speech," Daniel said. "Thanks." Maya grabbed her bag. "Ready for dinner?" "Always." They walked out of Harbor Heights together, three people who'd been broken by the same system and had rebuilt themselves into something stronger. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from Tom Brighton, still working at Harbor Heights but now as Director of Emergency Medicine. "Great lecture. The new residents need to hear that message. Thank you for coming back." Maya texted back, "Thanks for standing with me when it mattered." Because that was the truth she'd learned. Not everyone was corrupt. Not every system was broken. Some people still stood up, still fought, still believed that one person refusing to walk away could change everything. She'd been that person once, would be again if needed. But tonight, she was just Maya, walking out into the Boston evening with the two men who'd fought beside her, who'd proven that doing the right thing, no matter the cost, was always worth it. The hospital doors closed behind them. Ahead, the city lights beckoned, and Maya Reeves walked toward them with her head high, knowing that she'd lost everything once and built something better from the ashes. Knowing that standing up mattered, that fighting back changed things. That one stubborn doctor refusing to let a stranger die could bring down an entire network of corruption and save more lives than she'd ever imagined. She'd been fired from the ER for refusing to walk away, and she'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because some battles are worth fighting, some patients are worth saving, and some choices define exactly who you are when everything else is stripped away. Maya Reeves had made her choice, and she'd never once looked back.